Hey everybody, Mike Campion here with the lovely and amazing Suzanne Bandick. It's been a couple months since we've gotten together and done this, and I'm so excited to have Suzanne back. She is one of our two performance coaches on the team, whereas I focus mostly on tactics, what to do and how to do it, which makes people feel really good. Suzanne focuses on getting the beliefs in the owners to actually get it done, which is what I found moves the lever. So if you're looking to actually get results as opposed to just get smarter, I am great to listen to get a bunch of knowledge and feel good. God willing, you do something. Suzanne is great if you would like to actually take some of that knowledge and make it have an impact in your life and the lives of others. So that's why we have Suzanne. She's told me the topic, but I don't want to steal any of her thunder. So I'm going to let her introduce it. And as is my custom, I will heckle along the way. Interview. Did I say heckle out loud? I meant interview. That's complete Freudian slip.
Thanks, Mike. Really love you.
I'm hard to love, so that means a lot, sister.
Okay, today's topic, 4 steps to turning your vision into action. And we're going to use the acronym GROW.
So I'm just going to turn it over to Suzanne, but I get so fired up when I speak to her because what she said is just key, turning the vision into action. I remember when I first started coaching 10 years ago when I was halfway young, I just thought I know how this works and I know what to do to get results. And I'll just tell people like they're doing one thing and it's getting them not a result they want. And I know what to do and I'll just tell them what to do and they'll do it and they'll get the result that they want. And you're probably not shocked, but I was that somehow just telling people the right way wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't the magic, because obviously knowing what to do is really, really important. But knowing what to do and doing nothing might as well just not know what to do, right? Be ignorantly blissful or blissfully ignorant. So I have, over the last 10 years, got more and more excited about the magic of being able to turn an idea or a concept into action. So I really want to encourage, write notes, be present, just get what you can out of this because this is going to be great. Suzanne, let's start with number 1 or letter 1.
Letter 1 is G for goal. And I'd like to just briefly talk about this. There are 2 ways to look at the goal and 2 aspects to the goal. The first is the bottom line. This is my goal of how much revenue I want, better yet, how much profit I want. This is what I need for employees. This is what I need for customer retention. Those are the basic business goals that we would look at. However, I'm going to encourage everyone to not only do that, but take it further. The second aspect of this is, why are you doing it? Why do you want the increased revenue or income, profit? Why do you want the business to be better and you're setting goals in the business? Reasons can be financial freedom, family legacy, travel, a personal dream of yours. So that's the total package of a goal.
I've got 2 things. I'm taking notes here because you say all these things that get me fired up. First of all, the why is so key because a lot of us, I don't need the why, I just know what I want. And it's important because it's important. Or you kind of give yourself a superficial answer. And if everything's easy, just saying I want to do it is all you need. You don't need the why. If everything you try just works out perfectly and there's no gravity in your life or friction, forget the why. It's a waste of time. However, if you're one of the few people out there where things sometimes take more time than you thought or are harder than you thought, the superficial, I want to be at $1 million or $500,000 or $5 million or whatever that is, will get you somewhere. It'll typically get you the first 20% of the actions that need to happen. But when reality hits and it's like, well, that was harder than I thought, or that makes me, I didn't know I was going to have that uncomfortable conversation. That's when things fade away. And if we've got a strong why, we'll do almost anything. And without a why, we'll do almost nothing. So I don't want you to hear just something, because it's frustrating about good feedback is we've often heard it before. So it's easy to just put it in the box of, oh yeah, I know you got to have your why. It's like, I know, but do you? Oh no, because I don't need that, or I don't know. So the reason I'm hitting this so hard is I want to make sure you understand the why we're hitting the why so hard. It is the magic sauce that makes action. Also, the cool thing is, especially if you're having this conversation with yourself, which is where I'd start with, be honest, right? So when I was a kid, I'll be super honest. When I was really young, I was like, ooh, cool speakers and sound systems, right? It's like a, teenager. An older Mike looks back and goes, silly young Mike. And then, I wanted, fancy cars and fancy houses. And honestly, I felt that was not, I don't want to say cool, but it wasn't I don't know. I just felt weird about it. It was kind of embarrassing. So I'd tell people something different. I had kind of my secret goals. I just want to encourage you, be real with yourself, right? And if that's what you want, that's okay. Certainly when you're having a conversation with yourself, be honest. And two things can be true. You can say, I want impact and I want all the things that you could tell other people and they'll think more highly of you. And you can also want something a little silly or a little selfish that other people, you perceive may not think highly. Do what you want with how you are with them, but make sure with yourself, you're honest. Don't write down the goals that you think you should have. Write down the goals that you really want. That said, Suzanne made a really important point on, could be revenue, could be profit. Overwhelmingly, and I've talked to thousands of owners of cleaning companies one-on-one, when I speak to them, of course, if I'm trying to coach, I start exactly where we are. What's your goal? I need help. Help doing what? Getting where? Virtually 100% of the time, high 90s, it's a revenue goal. And great, $1 million, fine. And then I'll ask them their profit goal. They almost never know. Oh, I don't know. Or they'll make something up or whatever. And I'll go, why? And they'll go, I don't know. It's just what I want or what I want. And ultimately, I'll say, well, which is more important? I want to make sure we focus on what you want to focus on. Is it the revenue or is it the profit? They go, oh, it's for sure the profit. But they never start with the profit. They always start with the revenue. So perfect example of, as business owners, we think I have to get bigger. And if I'm at $500,000, then I'll be right when I'm $1 million. I'm at $1 million, it'll be 2. And we play that game forever, but it's not tied to reality. So just want to encourage you, be honest, understand your why, and think it through, right? Don't just be like, I just want to grow by 30%. Like, then what? Like, that's always a question I ask. So that, well, then I'll be bigger. Okay. And then what? Like, well, I don't know. I'll have financial freedom. Well, what is financial freedom? And then we finally get down to, I could buy this house, which will cost this much and need this much profit. And then we kind of connect this $1 million business, which means nothing, to an actual reality. So I got real preachy, but it just breaks my heart when I see it over and over again. People are unclear on their goals. And then shockingly, everything downstream struggles because they're not clear on what their goal actually is and why it's actually important to their life.
That is so true. Let's point out here, your goal has to be because you want it, not because somebody else wants it, not because you think, well, it's the next logical step. That's not going to get you what you really want. And it's not going to be reason enough to go through sometimes some of the obstacles and the things you need to go through.
And the crazy thing is, when we do the things that other people want, less so with parents, but when it's spouses or employees or whatever, we're almost always wrong. Like, I need to grow. Why? Because that's what my wife wants, or she wants. And then if I asked her, what would she say? Well, she just wants to pay off a little debt, or she just wants somebody to be happy, or she wants to be home more often, or I want to build a future with my kids. I guarantee if I ask the kids, they go, I want dad to be home more. I want him to play with me. So even when we do try and do the things for other people, oftentimes it's not even what they want. So for crying out loud, if you are going to do it for someone else, be clear on what they actually want and make sure that's what you want, as opposed to, I'm doing this for Suzanne and Suzanne doesn't give a rip. And then now what are we doing? Now we're just spinning.
Okay. Yes. So the goal is creating our vision. Now there's 3 more steps to take it to action to actually make the vision a reality. So step number 2 is following along with the acronym GROW. It becomes the R. The R is reality. We need to look at, where are we now? And we need to explore those obstacles.
I was just about to start screaming and I was talking too much. So I wanted to make sure I gave plenty of room for Suzanne to finish. The only small piece of feedback I have here is, I've said it 1,000 times, I'm sure my clients are sick of it: data, not drama. So this goes both ways. Drama can be, everything's great, it's all going to be great, and I'm a genius and everything's going to work out perfectly. Okay. That's one way to go. And then the other drama, which is more common: nobody wants to work in my area, this can't be done, marketing doesn't work. Like, just global statements that have so many unfounded true, kind of statements of reality baked in them that just aren't tied to reality. So it's okay. So drama would be, I've tried everything there is to try in marketing, nothing works. Data would be, I spent $491 on Facebook ads in the last 30 days, and I got 6 leads, 0 bids, and 0 sales. And it's funny when people come to me with these grandiose statements of fact. I've tried everything, marketing doesn't work. Cool. How much you spent on marketing last month? I don't know. Okay, so we don't even know. You don't even, like, it's one thing to go, I'm ignoring the data. It's another to go, I haven't even tracked the data. And instead of tracking, I'm just going to make a global statement. Like, I've interviewed 1,000 people and none of them speak English. Cool. Show me the applicants. Well, I don't really have that. Or I do 118. Great. Walk me through how many you spoke with. Like, it's just not tied. So I want to encourage you. Reality is not the reality that we tell ourselves, because the beliefs we have about reality are the limits to what we can accomplish. So if our reality, and again, it's not the reality, but if our reality is no one wants to work in our area, you can, all those actions in the world are going to be very tough to overcome if my belief is nobody wants to work. So the reality would not be everybody wants to be working. It's great and I'm amazing. Everything that's not reality. And no one wants to work and it's terrible. And I'm having to compete with a bunch of people that pay minimum wage, whatever. Not the reality. The reality would be, here's what I did. Here's the outcome. And we make meanings of that. And some of those meanings are closer or farther from the truth, but data, not drama. Sorry, I'm getting real ranty because you're saying such important stuff, Suzanne.
Mike, thank you. When we look at the reality, you're right. Since I've been working with you, I don't know if you know, it's been 5 years now.
Feels like 6 months,
It's,
girl.
it is. You have made me a believer in the data, not the drama. I probably say it now just as much as you do.
I'm so sorry, Suzanne, to you and your family, but it makes me happy in my heart. I'm sure it drives the people around you nuts, but God bless America, or God bless Canada, my friend Suzanne. And
Okay. So let's look when just to tie a bow on the reality part, step two of this. It's look not only at the data. So don't say it feels like nothing's working. Actually start to track it from memory and then track it for real from now on. It's also to look at limitations or obstacles you may find in your personal day. I'm I'm responsible for my kids X amount of hours. I have limited time. I have other commitments. These days, aging parents, we're sandwiched between aging parents, kids. So look at those realistically, okay? Because if you don't look at them realistically, they're going to derail you down the road.
Yeah, we can either ignore them, pretend like they don't exist. Good luck with that. Or we can make them this overwhelming thing that they don't have to be and go, because I have elderly parents, I can't start a business. That's not true. Or just because I have elderly parents, that's not going to make any effect on me starting a business at all. That's not true. There's somewhere in the middle of, I have elderly parents. They're more important than a business. Here's the time I'd like to spend with them. Here's the minimum time. We kind of break it down. And if I can be a little less insane for those of you that are newer, if data not drama is too much to start with, at least please, pretty please start with data then drama. So my preference is data not drama, but or at least data then context, right? Like it doesn't have, so ideally just data. If we have to have drama, so be it, but at least context. So drama would be, I've got my parents and you don't understand and it's a complete thing and I'm never gonna, when I was raising, and all these stories start coming up. Data then context would be, my parents are living with me. They're more of a priority than growing my business at this moment, but growing my business will serve them. And I'd like to spend 5 hours a week with them, but I've spoken with them and we've agreed 3 hours a day or a week or whatever the thing may be. That would be data then context. So I'm not saying there are no stories, but let's, like Suzanne said, not warp the stories into something they're not. And certainly let's not just have the story and ignore the data.
Right. So now we've got the goal. We've got realistically what is our reality. Now we can move to the O in grow, which is options. Let's look at what are the roots, what are the solutions, what are the small steps that we can take so we can make our vision a reality. Okay, so small steps, like you just said, Mike. I can talk to my parents if I'm responsible for them. And figure out time frames. I can talk to my spouse and figure out times with the kids, right? What are the small steps? What are the roots? Sometimes it's delegating. Sometimes it's finding a mentor or hiring a coach that will take you out of your own head and help you identify what needs to be done so you can do it more easily.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. So I'll tell you what the coaches, when Suzanne, I'm going to tell you my perspective. Please step in if you see it differently. More than half of the value I see in coaches, certainly in the reality and option stage, which you can try and do on your own, and you should. If you can't or won't take a coach, please try and someone's going to have to fill this role in your life. It's easier when it's another human that's the right human. If you don't have that, you've got to at least do this for yourself, is asking good questions. And one of my favorite good questions when I'm having this self-talk is it really true that? So when we're talking about reality and you're like, I want to get to the data and I want to get to the story, but is it really true that because my dad was an alcoholic, of course I'm going to be an alcoholic? No, that's not really true. Is it really true that because my dad was alcoholic, I'll never drink? No, that's not true. So is it really true? That is my favorite question. And I think it's that you can ask it anytime, but during the reality and options stage, because the reality, is it really true, is going to kind of poke at weird things that we've made up. And then options, especially if we start finding ourselves in a limited well, I can only do this, or I can only do that. Is it really true that, the option would be to hire, but every time I've hired, it hasn't worked. Is it really true? Yeah. It's really true. Okay. Is it really true that because every time you've done it one way, it hasn't worked? If you do something the same way, it probably won't work. Yeah, that's really true. What if you did something different? All right. Is it really true that no one in your city ever hires? Okay. So you can start asking, is it really true questions, both in the reality and the options. And again, if you can't get yourself out of that funk, you need another human. It's the right human, I should say, that can ask these questions in a way that is challenging, but is for you. Shocker, some of the humans in our lives aren't for us, right? They have their own needs and their own wants, and you not getting what you want sometimes makes them feel better. Y'all know who they are. So at the very minimum, people we know and trust to ask good questions, and then obviously you can get a professional that does this on purpose, ideal. But these conversations, when we do it in our head, tend to go round and round. We ask and answer the same questions and we just can't get out of it in a different perspective. And then someone else asking a question, and then you have to say you're crazy out loud. You're like, okay, maybe as I say it in my head, it sounded right, but as I started speaking, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to say that out loud to Suzanne. And then we come up with a little more thoughtful answer or more helpful answer at the very minimum.
That's exactly what happens. And sometimes I'll even say, write down your thought. I have done this. It's a limiting thought. I can't do this because. Write it down. And I've actually written something down and I've said, oh, that's just stupid.
And then if you really want to pick it yourself, write it down and then say it out loud. You're like, oh boy, that really, I don't think I'm.
I have. Of course, not insulting myself at all. It was obviously outside of me.
Yes, that chick is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just helps for that perspective. So once you've explored the options, now you need to look for the way forward, because we're talking about turning your vision to action and making it reality, right? So the final grow, the W, is the way forward. And that's where we need to choose. We need to say specifically, write this down. What action will I take? What will I commit to? What are the steps to that creation? And we have to commit to take the action. And hopefully our goal, our vision is big enough that it will help us through all the little speed bumps that we encounter along the way.
And for the very few of you out there who have ever tried this action step before and be like, I tried to take action and I tried to commit, I couldn't do it. You're in good company. That's all humans. None of us are perfect. But I could almost guarantee you started at the W, the way forward, the taking action. What am I going to do? And skipped the goal. What are my clear goals in reality? Why do I want them? What's the reality I'm actually working with? What options do I actually have? I promise you, if you do the GRO well and thoughtfully, write it down, take some time. It's almost like, it's funny when you ask the right question, the answer is almost inevitable. And sometimes, that's my favorite part about coaching is when I don't even coach, I just ask a question and then they give themselves the answer and do the work. And it's like, perfect. My work here is done. And the reverse is also true. If you ask the wrong question, the best answer in the world will be at best of no use and at worst getting you going faster in the wrong direction. So I can't encourage enough. One of my favorite things about business owners is we're pretty, let's go, let's do it, right? We're very action biased and very action oriented, which is a beautiful, important trait. But we just got to make sure, I shouldn't say we got to make sure, I found way more effective when I take the time, make sure I'm clear on the goals. I've spent some time on the reality. I've thought through my options, and then the actions almost seem, Obviously, like it just becomes much clearer. And this is another time to re-hit that why. So if you did your why back in goals, when we start doing the actions, especially when the scary ones come up, that's when the why comes in to save the day yet again.
Perfect. I'm going to add one caveat to the way forward. If you decide, because the way forward is a choice, and if you decide that it's just too hard to do the steps right now, it's the wrong timing, it's too hard, remember to stay where you are for that moment is a choice. Okay. It's great if you have the vision and you can move forward. I just don't want people to feel guilty over, I should be
Mm.
doing this when it's not the right timing.
Let me repeat what I thought I heard you say, because if I think it was really important, I want to make sure I'm not twisting it in my mind. What I'm hearing you say is it's okay to get through this and get to the action that you believe is required to get your goal and go, well, if that's the price, I don't want it anymore. And that's and that's okay. And not just kind of getting this loop of I'm not willing to do that, but I'm not willing to say no to my goal. So I'll just keep pretending I'm going to do it, knowing I won't, and then beating myself up. Just give yourself permission and go, it's okay. This car, this thing, this relationship, this success, this whatever, I'm sure if I were willing to torch a lot of relationships, risk my personal health, my business could be way larger than it is right now. And I could have a lot more money all by myself, with my doctors. And I'm totally okay going, no, no, that's what, and again, you're really just looping back to the goal, Suzanne. If the first goal, and again, that's why in marketing, they're like spend 80% of the time on the hook or the beginning and then 20% of the time on the content. When it comes to coaching, but everyone wants to spend 80% of the time on the bulk of it. We want to spend 99% of the time on the action and no percent of the time on the goal. Spend 80% of the time on the goal because sometimes there'll be competing goals. I love my parents and I want them to feel loved and cared for and prioritized in my life. That's a goal. I'd like to build $1 million business. That's a goal. I'd like to not be miserable when I wake up. So if we've only kind of been one directional in a vacuum, I want $1 million business. Like, well, sure. If you're just an alien that has no relationships and no physical body and no reality to tend with, do whatever you want. But when you have those, then we're not going to feel guilty or bad about it. And again, yeah. And I think we feel guilt when we haven't really identified, it's kind of like, oh, I feel guilty when I'm not spending more time with my kids. And when I'm with my kids, I feel more guilty that I'm not spending more time working. Why don't I just get clear on my boundaries of what I really want with my kids and my work? And if one's got to give, what's it going to be? So when it gives, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be okay with that. As opposed to, no, I'm going to doesn't matter which I'm doing, spending time with the work or with the kids, I'm going to be angry with myself. It's like, no, decide what you want on a multifaceted, it's not just a linear thing. There's other things. And then be okay when you're like, yeah, I'm going to just have a smaller business and a better relationship with my kids. Or if you're the type, to heck with those little people, I hate them, I'm going to go all in on the business. Wouldn't be for me. I don't think that'll work. But if that's you, like just, again, do what you want to do. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Suzanne.
That's right. Make the choice and take your stress away.
So we're over on time. You did great, but I just had a weird, do you have 2 minutes for a bonus question?
Yes.
All right. It has nothing to do with the topic. I just feel like we did such a great job on the topic and it inspired me to kind of give people one extra thing. My favorite thing about Suzanne is of all the people on our team, she has the most one-on-one time with our clients, like where they're really living, right? Because I get a lot of here's my marketing or my hiring and it's great. That's all super important. I'm not complaining, but she gets more into the nuance of what we're talking about. So, and I found every week, every month, there's kind of a theme of what people are going on. So over the last 2 to 4 weeks, whatever you think's appropriate, Suzanne, what do you think the theme or like what you've heard kind of a lot going on that people are struggling with? And what have you given them as a whole in terms of like, here's a different way to look at it? I know, super unfair. I completely sprung it on you, but
that's too broad a question, Mike. I'm
really,
sorry.
Over the last week, 2 weeks, there's not been and if you can only think of one, that's okay. But for me, I always think like, oh, today everyone's dealing with marketing or today everyone's dealing with that. And and if there's no theme, an honest answer of there hasn't really been anything is okay.
It's often the time commitment,
How so?
right? The balancing of the time, the day-to-day living and the priorities that come up. And sometimes you're under the weather, sometimes you're sick, or your kids are sick, or your spouse is sick. And it's the guilt over I didn't get anything done.
And what feedback are you giving those people?
Give yourself some grace.
I like that one.
There are moments in time where other priorities, we can have this beautiful vision, these goals, but there may be moments where we're not able to do what we thought we would do. And all that means is you're not doing it today. You'll try for it tomorrow
I
because
love that.
something came up.
Yeah, I love the grace and I love the data is I want to do A, B, and C today. And I didn't. I did half of A, and that was it. The drama is, therefore, I'm an idiot. I always do this. It'll probably never get done. Who was I to think that I could? This is why I'm such a loser. All drama. The data would be, luckily, the sun's going to go down. I'm going to take some rest. It's going to come right back up again, and I'll take another swing. And the real data is, and maybe I don't get A, B, and C done tomorrow. And the sun will go down. I'll take a little bit of rest. The sun will come up and we get another swing. That's the data. All right.
The
Questions,
gratitude.
comments, or remarks? Go ahead.
That's it. I was just going to say it's the gratitude. I was there for my kids. I'm able to take care of my health. When you have your own company, you're not working and answering to someone else. Gratitude. Let's always have the gratitude and it'll take us where we need to be.
Love it. Beautifully said, Suzanne. This is why the people love you, including myself amongst said people. Clean Nation, thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. Please, I know these can be fun to kind of binge and just go one to one to one, and feel free to listen to as many as you like, but take a minute, take 5 minutes, spend some time, go through the GROW acronym, pick a thing, do a thing, get some clarity. Feel free to reach out. When you have a win, you do it like, I used it. It was great. Let us know so we can celebrate with you. Appreciate you. Talk soon. See ya.